People are wising up to the process. It is all about members of the Conservative Party in the final analysis of who they think of the two that will remain after this slightly tortuous process we go through now.
It is, Charlie, and it can sort of bypass the rest of us, this process, can't it? It's worth remembering that it's only happened once before that Conservative Party members or the party membership have directly chosen a Prime Minister, not just MPs. And the danger, I suppose, for the Conservative Party is that the 47 million of the rest of us, the electorate, as I say, are rather bypassed from it. But their views are very important, clearly, because in 2 years' time, we assume, probably in 2024, the Conservative Party will be asking the electorate to give them something that is exceptionally rare in British political history, effectively a fifth term in office, potentially taking them up until 2027, 2028, perhaps even beyond. And that will be no mean feat. And they've got to do so, by the way, by keeping that electoral coalition that Boris Johnson really uniquely put together back in 2019, the so-called red wall areas in the Tory South which have been drifting away from the party in recent by-elections and so on. So we thought we'd go along to the Rother Valley, just down the road from here in Sheffield, talk to about half a dozen or so voters who all voted Conservative or open to that in 2019, still open potentially to voting for the party again, but who have been profoundly disappointed by what has happened over the last couple of months in particular. Here's just a sense now of what they had to say, and in particular starting off with the damage that has been done to the Conservative Party brand by recent events at the latter bit of Boris Johnson's premiership.
I think they did the right thing, but I think they've waited too long, personally. I think it got to a point where it was so untenable. They had to do something, but maybe it should have been done before things got so bad for everyone.
That makes sense. Anyone else come in on that?
I think it's too little, too late. should have been a long time ago.
Tell me.
If there was a theme today, it was that sense that those most associated with the Johnson government were most vulnerable, and that of all of them is a problem for this man most.
Who knows who this is?
I think if you asked me 6 months ago, I would have said yeah, but he's sort of sat there, and it's gone from scandal to scandal, then it's tarred him, and then it's gone, and he's sat and defended Boris, and if Boris would have been forced to go 6 months ago, then I know a lot of people that said, yeah, he'll be next Prime Minister.
What I'm going to do now is I'm going to play you a clip, and then what I'll ask you to do is on your whiteboard, give a score out of 10 for how much he comes across as someone that's Prime Ministerial.
I know how difficult it is when you're working hard and seeing the price of everything go up every day, every week.
Michael, you've given him a 0. Tell me why.
Well, I've just recently seen a video where he said he's detached from the working class people. And I think, why is he saying that in his younger days, and now all of a sudden he's changed his mind? When now it's come to important that he thinks he can sway over everybody and try and, I don't know, just make him believe that he's going to do right for us, and I don't think he will.
Our next candidate. How many know she is? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Michael, do you want to tell us who this is?
Liz Truss.
Liz Truss, yeah. So what do people think about Liz Truss?
The sort of things I know about her is what I've seen on social media, so TikTok and things, where there's been like a mashup of a series of gaffes and statements that she's made, which...
It was Truss, not Sunak, who scored the best of the two. Indeed, they were the only two that were really known by this group. Penny Mordaunt, by contrast, had barely been heard of. And although she now has much momentum with MPs and party members, those here were less sure.
So, as someone who has been quite vocal on trans rights...
Especially given that what they'd seen of her, she'd been focused on cultural, not economic issues.
Everybody else was talking about our lives and how rubbish the UK is at the minute with living and the cost of living and stuff. Everybody were talking about all these big issues. It just felt like I was watching Loose Women.
Just put your hand up if you know who this is. Anyone know? Okay, can everyone want to show their scores? Okay, so slightly higher scores there for Kemi coming from people. I'll start with some of the high ones.
Yeah, she came across really well, talking about a daughter, a family, just sort of feel like there's a bit of a connection, you know, when she talks, like that she'd get me and I'd get sort of her life and where she came from. She seems more real.
Not enough experience to run the country. She comes across all right, but yeah, no.
OK, we'll move on to the next of the candidates.
The way he presented himself then, I like that.
I got a bit of a nice feeling from him.
Does anyone know who this is?
So that people can be dealing with the cost of living challenges in a more feasible way. We need to shrink the size of the state. And
Yeah, I think it's more of a vibe, really, that I get from her, that she's not... I don't feel like she's very genuine. Seems to be very sort of like... Yeah, there don't seem to be very much emotion or care about what she's saying. It's just sort of like bang, 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 and like a bit borderline aggressive. And we've just sort of come from, you know, Boris arguing to people, and they have like kids saying, "Oh well, you said this," and whatever. And it's just a vibe, really, that it's like a female version of Boris.
Thank you. It's red hot in here.
The political research group More in Common facilitating that focus group for us there. Now, of course, it's only about half a dozen or people. You can't extrapolate lots and lots into it, but a few quick impressions that really stuck with me. First of all, you'll have seen there, the candidates with the freshest faces did best. People like Rishi Sunak, most associated with the previous government, have the most to prove in this contest, and that's for this reason. What's really interesting is that we kept in this focus group, perhaps for understandable reasons, because lots of people didn't know all of the candidates to focus on. How did they come across? Did they seem prime ministerial? What do you think of their personalities? But that group were absolutely hungry to hear something else. What they wanted to hear was policy. They wanted to desperately hear about what each of these candidates was going to do specifically about the economy. Because make no mistake, there was a really grim sense, I'm sure lots of our viewers will associate with this, grim sense of foreboding about the economic situation to come, real fear in the autumn and winter. And those candidates in particular really occupies SW1, doesn't it? And Westminster, talking about so-called culture war issues, trans, and so on and so forth. That really went down like a lead balloon, because lots of people were saying there, look, that's just not what is affecting my life right now. What I need to hear from these candidates is ideas to really try and improve, ameliorate the really profound, difficult economic situation that they are all expecting. Because there was, and this I suppose is the big challenge for the Conservatives going forward to the next election, there was just a profound sense of pessimism, a weariness about what they saw as crisis after crisis that the country has been through in the last few years, and they are really looking for, I suppose, in one word of all, hope, but hope on economics, as I say, backed up with real ideas about what each of them are going to try and do to improve the situation that we're in.
Lewis, thanks very much for that. And if you're already confused by the system, by tomorrow morning, there'll be 5. 6 now, 5 by tomorrow.